Nightmares in Aisle 13. It was a job I took without much thought, just to pay the bills and put some food on the table. Working the night shift at Walmart seemed harmless enough. Little did I know, my first night on the job would plunge me into a terrifying ordeal that I would never forget. I arrived at the store as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the parking lot. The cool breeze sent a shiver down my spine, but I attributed it to the nerves of starting a new job. The store seemed oddly quiet for a place that never truly closed, but I brushed it off, thinking the night crew had yet to arrive. My supervisor, a stout woman named Mrs. Thompson, welcomed me with a tired smile. She handed me a set of keys and a flashlight, explaining that my primary duty was to do routine checks around the store, ensuring everything was in order. "Stay alert," she warned, "and never wander too far from the main aisles." As the night wore on, the store transformed into an eerie labyrinth of shadows and echoing silence. The hum of the fluorescent lights seemed unnaturally loud, and the empty aisles stretched out like endless corridors into darkness. My footsteps echoed as I followed my route, the beam of my flashlight dancing over shelves stocked with merchandise. Time seemed to slow down, and my heart raced with every creak and rustle. I kept reminding myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Yet a feeling of unease gnawed at the pit of my stomach. It was when I reached Aisle 13 that things took a sinister turn. Aisle 13 was a narrow passage, lined with toys and electronics. As I shone my flashlight down the aisle, I caught a glimpse of movement at the corner of my eye. I turned quickly, expecting to see a fellow employee, but the aisle was empty. A chill ran down my spine, and I picked up my pace, eager to move on. But then I heard it, an eerie giggling that seemed to echo from the shelves themselves. My heart pounded in my chest as I scanned the aisle, the flashlight trembling in my hand. The giggling grew louder, more maniacal, and I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead. I called out, "Is anyone there?" The only response was the mocking laughter that seemed to come from all directions. Determined to prove to myself that it was just my imagination, I stepped further into the aisle, shining the light on the shelves. And that's when I saw it. A doll, sitting on the shelf, its eyes locked onto me. It was a porcelain doll, its features frozen in a sinister grin. Its eyes were an unsettling shade of crimson, and as the light hit them, they seemed to glow with an unholy intensity. My breath caught in my throat, and I stumbled back, knocking over a display of board games. The giggling grew louder, filling the air around me. I turned to flee, but the aisle had somehow lengthened, stretching out before me like an endless corridor. Panic surged through me as I realized I was trapped, surrounded by shelves filled with malevolent eyes that seemed to watch my every move. Desperation fueled my actions as I ran, the doll's laughter echoing in my ears. The shelves seemed to close in on me, distorting and shifting like a nightmare. My flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced along the walls. Just when I thought I couldn't take it any longer, I burst out of Aisle 13 and into the main aisle, gasping for air. Mrs. Thompson found me there, trembling and pale. I tried to explain what had happened, but my words came out in a jumbled mess. She listened patiently, her expression a mix of concern and skepticism. As the sun began to rise, she escorted me to the employee break room, where I collapsed into a chair, mentally and physically drained. In the following days, I tried to convince myself that it had all been a hallucination brought on by exhaustion. But every time I closed my eyes, I could hear the giggling and see those crimson eyes staring at me. I quit my job at Walmart, unable to set foot in the store again without feeling a surge of dread. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that something malevolent resides in Aisle 13, something that preys on the unsuspecting souls who dare to venture there during the night shift. And as for me, I'll forever carry the memory of that night, a night when the ordinary turned into a nightmare I couldn't escape.